Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective, and this is sort of an unscheduled special live event, and it's titled "Virginia Need to Know." And what I'm going to go over is some of the things that you're going to need to know if you plan on attending the uh, Virginia insurrection uh, rally. I guess you could call it a rally. Rally. Hey, Margot. Um, anyway, so I want to go over some details about Virginia. I want to go over some details about how we're going to handle things while we're there. Uh, Fight and defend. Good to see you. Um, anyway, this is not in any shape of the form. It's not going to be a rally. Hey, Pete. This is a civil disobedience stand-in or an insurrection act, sort of. They're going to assume we're breaking all their laws, and we're going to assume they're being tyrannical and stepping outside the bounds of their oath to the Constitution. So it's sort of a he said, she said. Vicki Jenkins, welcome. Uh, I want to go over some of the stuff that we're going to be dealing with. I want to reference something from the past that people need to keep in mind also. Uh, I'm babbling a second just because I know that the live streams take a few minutes to show up on people's feeds, and I want to give a few people a chance to get in here before we talk about it. That way, if there are any questions, then we can go over those. Uh, can you please let me know if my audio is decent? Are you able to hear me? Am I broken up? Is this doing okay? Eldon, welcome. Just give it a few more seconds here and see if we can get some more people in here. We got 15 of you hanging out, but anyway, all right. So I am a conservative leaning brew. Drink up. Welcome. Yeah, the couple of things that I've had to do. I've had to invest a little bit of money in this thing because it really has escalated, and I needed to make sure that when I get up there, since I'm going to have my wife with me, we're going to have all the gear we need for potential urban survival if it just comes down to something really stupid. Uh, who's that? Mr. Dingleberry. Welcome. Black Spring, good to see you. All right, so we're up to 16 people, so it's going to be up to you guys to refer other people back to this live stream so that we can get the word out a little bit. First thing I want to mention is underneath my video in the description is my PayPal link. If you're in a position where you can help me financially so that I can um, make this trip efficiently and successfully, then please and thank you. I appreciate anything. Um, I, I've got some great people that have already donated, and it's helped out an awful lot. I think you guys have noticed the situation going on in the Middle East. You might also notice right above your gas stations that your price of gas is going up rapidly. Uh, Burns, welcome, welcome. Uh, Blue Lou 777, welcome. Um, the gas prices are going up, and I believe all of this is somehow linked. Mr. F, good to see you. Um, we've got the situation with the UN hiring for somebody who is a confiscator, basically, also that are capable of restricting mobilization. A couple of things you would want to do if you're getting ready to go into conflict is you want to restrict movement and you want to take away the enemy's ability to defend themselves. And in this case, we are apparently the enemy of the New World Order, so they're trying to organize to take our ability to defend ourselves away. Um, One way to restrict movement is, of course, kicking up the gas prices because people that are working paycheck to paycheck or on disability incomes, if you can't afford gas, obviously you can't go anywhere. So kick up the gas prices, restrict mobility. Two birds with one stone. Um, the other thing to mention is the American Joe brought this up today. I fully expected it, and that is facial recognition software. And you can bet that's going to be used. If you guys remember back in the standoff at the Bundy Ranch for the BLM land, they had the same ability. I mean, we're just now learning about this facial recognition like it's something brand new. No, this stuff's been around probably for 15, 20 years. We just don't hear about the black budget projects until they're been well vetted and used. But in the Bundy Ranch situation, they they were basically identifying the people on the ground that were standing up to the BLM. And after things de-escalated and everybody went home and thought everything was good to go, they started arresting people that had gone there to stand up against the BLM. So they're going to do that same kind of bullshit this time. They're going to be going around and trying to identify people, and then they're going to try to sneak up on you and arrest you at your home for, breaking the law that is illegal according to the Constitution. So if you are going to Virginia, I'm going to ask a few things of you. For one thing, you should not go alone. Um, the problem with the situation going back to the BLM standoff at the Bundy Ranch, they had people that infiltrated the Patriots, and they came in there all dressed up and bubbly like Patriots and walking into the crowd and saying, "What's your name again? Where do you come from? Where do you live? How far did you travel?" Getting information. So that's how they identify. So if you have things like identifying tattoos, if you got marks or whatever that you can be quickly identified with, you need to have those covered. You need to be basically shirts to the neck and sleeves to the wrist so that you don't have immediate identification marks visible. And if you're a long haired hippie like myself, then, it might be a good idea to not wear the hair the way you normally do. Um, People that have the significant beards, I mean, those a lot of people have those now, which helps. But wearing a nice little hat of some kind, even a floppy hat or a round brimmed hat, so that from above it's not as easy to identify. So these are a little bit of common sense things, but not everybody thinks of them because they think they're just going to a rah rah ree rally and we're going to, cheer a little bit and get everybody excited and say, "Yeah, we're going to keep our guns." Well, they're not looking at it that way. They're looking at us as an invading force in their city, and they're staging themselves and their own assets so that they can retaliate against their perceived enemy. Um, we know that we've been confirmed that they've got BLM there. That's Black Lives Matter. They've got Antifa. They've got MS-13, and they've got neo-Nazi groups that are obviously being paid for by other organizations, and they're setting them up there. I've had one not officially confirmed report that they're surveilling their parking garages and high level positions. And if you're doing something like that, you're usually getting ready to set up a sniper nest or something for overhead surveillance. Two things that you don't want. I was actually thinking about getting a banner with my DVP logo on it, and having that. And the more this thing has escalated as far as intel goes, the more I realize I'm going to be disappeared in the crowd. Um, if you are going to Virginia and you don't have an organization or a group, as you guys know, Tony Patriot named us the Patriot family. So if you're a member of the Patriot family and you want to be part of our stand-in, we really need to know you, because once we're there, once we're staged up and we are in our observe and protect mode, then uh, very unlikely that anybody will be accepted to walk just casually into our group and start mingling. That's not how things work. There's a thing called OPSEC in the military. It's operational security, and part of that is you only stay with people that you absolutely know, and you don't talk to anybody outside of that immediate group. If somebody comes up and says, "Oh, hey, how are you? Who are you now?" You don't say. You just say, I'm not here for. I'm not here to identify. I'm here for a different mission." Um, it's not intended to be rude. I think you guys know by now I'm not a rude person. I'm very outgoing. I like to meet and greet people, but this isn't the event for that. This is a serious event where our eyes need to be on a pivot. Our heads need to be moving back and forth. It's not going to be a location for a meet and greet. For one thing, I I would not identify myself to anybody. I just, you know, respectfully say how you doing if somebody came up. But they will be trying to bring people into these patriot groups. They're going to try to infiltrate the militias. They've already found that the Antifa guys, they're seeing them. What I've gotten is it's been confirmed that there was a coffee shop up there that had Antifa people in it, and at the same table was the black mob that was wearing all black, and then across from them at the same table were members of Antifa wearing their Trump gear. So that's confirmed. That's been visually cited. So they are going to try to infiltrate the patriot groups. So if you are going to Virginia and you want to be a part of our patriot family, our group, once we get there, my email is underneath my video in the description. You have to email me, because I love you guys, but we got to vet you. We got to know. I mean, obviously, if you've been with our channel for a long time, we know. But if it's somebody who just pops on and says, "Okay, I want to be a part of this," you know, there might be some necessary vetting going on, and it's not meant to be offensive in any way. It's self-preservation, because they will be coming after us after this event, and the people that are going here need to understand that, and not to bring fear into it. I'm doing this thing absolutely fearless. I'm not going to be intimidated by a tyrant trying to take away my rights. There's a couple of things that you're going to need. Hey, Prof, it's good to see you. Luciana, welcome. Uh, Out here in the country, Justin Wayne, looking for somebody to help me produce. Come on, sweet girl, take me to the Lenny bin. Okay. Not sure what that would be. Is that a song you're working on or something? Um, Black Panthers were infiltrated in the 60s. Yeah, I know. This is a common practice. That's one of the things the FBI trains for. Um, Also, the CIA has their assets that try to infiltrate. So the bottom line is, if you're not a part of our group already, if you plan on being in Virginia and you want a group to shelter with, you need to let me know soon. Um, I'm handling the collection of intel. I'm handling the coordination of people that are going to meet. And if you are going to be in Virginia and you want to be in our group, you've got to get me an email, and then I'll make contact with you and give you my contact information. So, anyhow, you're going to have to go with a plan. And if you are planning on staying in the city of Richmond, I would I'd probably caution against that. uh, for one thing, if they do a lockdown, then it's going to be difficult to get out. Uh, the if you want to restrict your enemy, I'm going to only say enemy because they consider us their enemy because we're against the New World Order. Michael, what did I see? Where? Oh, just send funds. I'm not to who? Michael Burns is just in send funds, but uh, sender loaner. Okay, you're just listening. Cool. All right. So what's going to happen is if you want to take out the ability for your enemy to move, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to knock out communication, and the second thing you're going to do is you're going to lock down exits to a city. If you wanted to take down a city in just a couple of hours with a fairly small operating team, all you have to do is block the exits, and most cities don't have that many. So those will be blocked. The access to the airport will probably be restricted. So, what I plan on doing myself, this is something I'd recommend for anybody who's going there. I would probably plan on leaving your car outside of the city limits and getting either jumping a bus to get in or maybe catch a cab to get into the city. And the idea behind that is if everything goes bad and they do a lockdown, you can go out on foot and you can get to your vehicle as long as you have it outside of the city limits in a safe place. You can walk out, even if that takes a while. If things get hot, the very smart thing to do would be to find a place to hunker down during the day and then try to do all your mobilization at night. You don't want to be a target in the daylight. You want to make yourself a hard target and move around quickly and quietly at night. So it might take you if your car is 10 miles outside of the town, you might have a little bit of a trek getting there. 10 miles doesn't seem like a whole lot, but if you're ducking and covering and potentially hiding from blue helmets and things like that, it could be a potential 2-day trip to get 10 miles. So what you're going to need is you're going to need some personal provisions. I don't want this to sound like fear mongering in any way. I'm trying to bring to the attention some of the scenarios that would be possibly brought forward. And having your bug out bag with your water, your food, medication, things that you would need immediately if you end up on foot and you have to move out swiftly. So you want to have your bug out bag. You want to make sure it's got all your gear in it, all your survival stuff, and that includes your medicines. People forget medicines all the time. You want to have food in there. You want to have your water. You want to have change of socks. You want wet weather gear. You want to have things for potentially making shelter. You know, the basics of a bug out bag. First aid. You should have first aid. I'll always have a first aid kit with me, a fairly extensive one. But if this thing goes hot, there's a real potential for uh, wounded wounded people to be needing medical help. So a first aid kit is pretty important. Um, so we've gone over infiltrating the group. That's going to be a big thing. People are going to try to get information from you. You need to be polite, but respectful, but stubborn. There is no reason that somebody out of the blue needs to come into your group and say, "Hey, what's your name again? I was just trying to remember who you were." It's You can be polite. You can say, I'm not divulging any information. I'm here for a civil disobedience." Karma Ghost, welcome. Go to Discord. Rockets fired north of Baghdad, housing U.S. troops. Okay. Now, yeah, you brought that up. Thank you. Um, this is another potential issue if if we go hot with Iran, which there's tit for tat thing usually leads to more advanced conflict. You can bet that's part of the overhaul scenario too, because they know that their military, the country's military, in best case scenario, only 30% would stand up to American people. And that's pretty disgusting to think about. But there was a pretty significant purge done to our military during the last regime. And the yes men that are in there are not in there by accident, and they haven't all been purged. So you can bet that there would be 30% willing to stand up to patriots in this country, but 70% will not. So if they can get the soldiers out of the country, then that takes one part of their equation out. And when they say, okay, well, all of our soldiers are deployed, we need peacekeepers, and then they bring in their UN troops uh, under the bill that was signed by Obama, allowing UN to move freely in this country for peacekeeping purposes. So they're not, even though they're evil, they're idiots, they're they're psychotic. The Democrat left, the hard left, are not stupid. They know what we are going to do, and they're trying to counter it in any way that they can. Um, I think they would want our military to be spread thin, so the UN can stop in, and then China, Russia, and other countries will do what they always do and interfere with their interests. You can bet on that. That's a good point. Air Force now on full alert. Patriot Hour a few minutes ago. Yeah, so you've got to be ready for this. You got to be ready for a mass exodus of our military because the the Democrats are coming for our guns, and they're trying to eliminate any resistance that they can. And this Iran thing is very very convenient in timing. It's kicking up the gas prices, and it's potentially going to move military out very quickly. So two stones with one bird. Um, the F you going?
He goes up in an hour.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be on that much longer. Sage Parsley, how you doing? All right. One thing I want to go over. I talked about the communication. You need an alternate form of communication. Everybody that's in our Patriot group is getting little handheld ham radios. CB is one option, a handheld CB, but in the immediate area, it's a little easier to scramble a CB than it is to scramble a ham. Just different frequencies. So if you can get a little $25 ham radio from Amazon, then you need to do that. And the frequency that we will monitor won't be divulged until we have a meeting on the 19th in Virginia. So security is very important. If
We need
you
a list of people that are going.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They need to be contacting me with my email, letting me know if they're going, if they're not going. Um, there are right now some retired military are working together for a second wave response team if necessary. So that's being coordinated. Um, this is being done. We're treating this as a military operation because the way we're viewing it, the left looks like they want conflict, and they're sending their agitators in, and they're doing things like you would do if you were preparing to overthrow a city or to
Bottle of
take
milk.
control of it.
Good idea.
Huh?
Bottle of milk if you get sprayed.
That's a good point. I would have slipped that one. Thank you very much. Who said that?
Fight and defend.
Fight and Defend says bring a bottle of milk. That is important. If you have a gas mask, you might bring that because you can bet they're going to probably try to blow us out. Um, but bringing milk, if you get blasted in the eyes with pepper spray, milk does neutralize it. It makes a huge difference. So don't plan on bringing the milk to drink with cookies. Bring you a little jug, maybe a pint of milk, and keep that in your bag in case you get blasted by pepper spray. If you've been in the military and you've gone through the gas chamber, most pepper spray you can use as mouthwash. I know that I I've been shot by pepper spray after I've been through the gas chambers and training, and it was a little hot, kind of pissed me off, but it really didn't do anything to me. So if you don't have that experience, then you may not have a body that's built up immunity to it or something. But just keep that milk with you. That's such a good point. Really, really good point. I'm glad you said that.
Idea to carry it because it's smaller.
A little jug of pint. But
Is it
that's not
lighter?
it. That's got too much sugar in it. That would really suck. It's just got to be milk. Best thing is probably 2% milk. But anyway, so that was a great point. I appreciate the input on that one. Um, all right, so we talked about ham radios. The other thing that I'm working on is I bought paper maps, and when you are posted up and you are forced to go tactical for survival, one of the key things you need to have is 3 exits. If you can't have three, the absolute minimum is two. You never want to be boxed in. You want to be able to move. And if you have 3 points of egress, then you have that option no matter what happens. So 3 exits, two at the absolute minimum, and know them. Make sure that whoever has done your intel gets with you and you understand the points of exit. So egress, exit. Uh, Also, on these maps, when we have our meeting on the 19th, I'll be handing these out. I've only got 3 of them. I bought everything they had at our local bookstore, so I only got 3. But I'm going to have these marked up with rendezvous points and evacuation points and safe houses. I'm working on all that right now, and those will be handed out again on the 19th. And whoever has those needs to be uh, security is at the utmost important. Those maps are not to end up in anybody else's hands, and those 3 people that would have those, if we have to break up into potentially platoons in our group, then the 3 people that would have these maps that are marked up would be obviously platoon leaders. So
Michael Burns is asking you a question.
are your initials AO? Michael Burns, yes. But they already know my name, so it doesn't matter. You can Google me and probably get my shoe size and maybe my most recent purchase of a jock strap, because once you get out here and you start talking against the system, they know you. So I'm not hiding. There's nothing I can do. But I'm talking about people that aren't known, that don't want to be known. Then you need to be kind of listening to what I've got going on right now, because if you want to stay away from the leaders, so to speak, these are not our leaders; they're our employees. So I got to be careful with the lingo. Um, they they are going to try to take you out after the event. They'll act like, oh, everything's hunky dory, and they'll back down. And okay, we're sorry. And then as soon as everybody goes home and feels comfortable again, they're going to get the knock on the door, and they'll try to scoop people up. So it's important to be incognito as much as you possibly can. Um, that's what I got on that. So we've got our paper maps, because cell phones are very likely going to be turned off. Um, if you have map reading experience, it might be important for you to get your own map. Um, if you are familiar with grid maps, there's a program that you can download on the computer to get yourself a topography or grid map. You're going to want to have something like that if you end up having to mobilize on foot. The other thing that I'm going to be identifying is pinch points. that if you drive down these locations and there are trees right up to the road on either side, so you can't make a turnaround exit quickly, those will be marked. I'm going to try to make sure that everything's marked with clear, unobstructed access to exit points, and I'm going to have all that put together. This is a book highly recommended called "Where There Is No Doctor." There's a medical guide that people know medical experience. A good idea. Uh, Alchemy Sam. So that book is called "Where There's No Doctor." Okay, so you want to look that up if you want to have a medical guide. I've got a little bit of a advantage because my father was a physician. So also I did training for trauma medicine. Uh, did worked with field medics in the army and stuff like that. So I'm prepared with that aspect. I know how to do sutures. I know how to do very minor surgeries, but I wouldn't want to have to do that unless an absolute emergency. Um, Michael, Michael Burns. Yeah, just you asked about my initials, Michael Burns. Have we met by chance, or were you just curious? Uh, Everyone going to Virginia is from 10 book 3. Yep, and 4. Uh, anyway, the other thing I want to mention is that we are not going to become Virginia citizens or residents. We are going as guests. Our mission is to represent the rest of the patriots and the Second Amendment protectors in this country. The Citizens Defense League, Virginia Citizens Defense League, they have their mission. Theirs is the lobby day. That's their thing. They are the residents of Virginia. They need to be allowed to do exactly what they do. We need to stay out of their way. And we need to do our thing. We need to stand in solidarity. We need to show civil disobedience. If they pass this law by the 8th, where they say you can't be armed in the Capitol, um, they're going to try to break their own state constitution by backdating that to last July 2019. If they pull that off, then everybody who's in the Capitol is illegal if they're carrying a sidearm. The problem is they made an illegal act to pass that law. So we have to just choose who's illegal: the oath breakers, the ones that are stepping on the Constitution and using it for toilet paper, or the patriots that understand the Constitution and want to protect it and the Bill of Rights for the American people. We are the ones that are in the right. Any law that goes against the Constitution is illegal, null, and void. So you just have to stay confident and understand you are protected by the Constitution, and you need to have one. If you don't have a book, a little booklet of the Constitution, you need to have one. You need to have it in your pocket because you need to be able to reference that thing. If they say, well, you can't do this, well, according to this article in this subsection of the Constitution, I most definitely can. So get yourself a Constitution. So we need ham radio, $25 roughly. You need a paper map, and you need to mark your exits. If you want to have a place that's got highway access, you need to maybe look in an area where there's more than one highway out of the state. That would be your minimum of 2 points, but also you can move around on county roads. Staying on county roads might be an option if things go hot. And meeting at waypoints, having rendezvous, reorganizing, making plans, that kind of thing is going to be important. So right now, I'm probably gonna give it till about the 10th for people to contact me and make plans to be part of the Patriot family in our group. After that, I've got to close it because I don't have time to do the things necessary to make sure that everybody's security is considered. So if you plan on going to Virginia and you were going to be getting your money together, getting your donations, whatever you have to do, and you want to go, you got to make contact with me as soon as possible, and then I'll get you I'll get you set up. Um, Most of our information that we're going to have is will not be divulged until we have our meeting on the 19th. The location of that meeting will not be divulged until we are absolutely set with the people that are going to be part of our group. So, OPSEC, Operation Security. The other thing I wanted to kind of mention is the gray lady or the gray man. And when you hear that, it means very incognito. The infiltrators that are going to try to get into your group are going to be acting that same way. If you hear about the gray lady, it's the one that is very nonchalant, non threatening, just quietly standing around and listening and taking down that information. So, loose lips sink ships. When we are posted up and we are in uh, our 5 point surveillance with overhead protection, uh, people need to basically shut the hell up. There doesn't need to be discussion about what's going on, what our plans are, where we're going to meet, any of that kind of stuff. It needs to be absolute silence. And radios need to stay silent unless we absolutely have to use them. Um, we'll organize that communication and all that kind of stuff when we get there. Wolf Stonehenge, out with the treasonous, evil, tyrannicals, and America, and we the people. Good point. It's hard to say how far they'll escalate this thing, but I'm trying to do this to get you guys prepared. Um, we need to go in there with an open mind and an understanding that they want us dead. The If you have any doubt in the world about the loyalty of the liberal left, you need to listen to what they're saying about this Iranian Major General Aswa Haini or Haini, whatever his name is. This guy is responsible for killing thousands of people in many different countries. He was the leader of Hezbollah, which is a massive terrorist organization that is whole funded by Iran. This guy is an absolute psychotic killer. I've heard him referred to the Desert Napoleon. So he is the scum of the earth. He is the epitome of nastiness. He liked to torture people, kill them violently, and he's been responsible for a lot of American deaths. And you had the liberal left and the mainstream media praising this guy as he was some kind of a god or war hero. So there's their loyalty. If you question that, if you think, oh, well, no, they want to make what's best for the people, that's why they want to disarm, you can kiss my ass with that kind of attitude. You can go, I have a lot of things I could say to that. But the when we're up there, we need to have our protection. We need to look out for each other. Don't move around alone. You always need a buddy system. If you have a group of people like we're going to have, you make sure you move with the group. I'm pushing these things home because if you find yourself isolated, you are a hot, soft target for Antifa or the neo Nazis or any of them, MS-13. So stay together. And once you have a group, stay with a group. Don't mingle. Don't go to other groups because if they're doing it right, they're going to be the same way. We don't want to talk to you. No disrespect whatsoever, meant intended. We don't want to talk to you. So you need to go back to where you were and go back to your group. Um, I hate to be like that, but that's the way it's absolutely got to be. They've made these rules this way because of the way they spy on Americans, and they want us dead. We are the enemy of the New World Order. We're the enemy of the 16-year plan to destroy America and bring us down to a third world nation for submission. The occupation by China, our leaders are basically owned by China. So they've made their alliances, and we need to keep ours. Anyway, any questions? I'm an MD and will be taking my vacation time heading to Virginia from California to give medical assistance on the ground should the need arise. Please stay safe and vigilant. Alchemy Sam, thank you for that. Um, if you want to make contact with me, um, my email is down below in my description, and we can coordinate if you want to go that route. If you don't have anybody for personal protection around you, then I would recommend making some kind of alliance and going that way. Um, do you want the book? Writer from Norway just had a great video discussing tyrannical states and gun rights to keep them in check. Uh, do you want the book writer from Norway? Is that his? Is that the actual name? Uh, the book. I was saying the book writer Bjorn. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who that is. Book writer Bjorn. All right. So, any questions about what's going on? If you don't put a question up here, that's fine. If you want to hit me up on the email, that's fine. But the a lot of the information is not going to be given out until closer to time. You can expect that comms are already going to be surveilled. They're going to be listening to what we say. So the communications will be brief, will not be entirely descriptive, and we'll get it all planned out and go from there. Join through Patriot Storm. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Many people are from who are from Virginia, but I've been live in other states are going to be coming and supporting Virginians' gun rights on the 20th. That's a good thing. One thing is, I do want to mention one more thing. Um, the like I said, the Virginia Citizens Defense League needs to be absolutely left to do what they do. They need to be separate from the insurrection and civil disobedience organization that we are. And they don't want people carrying long guns. So if you are going to associate and participate with the Virginia Citizens Defense League, you should honor what they ask. But if you are part of the Civil Disobedience, the Insurrection Act, then I would recommend that you come with whatever you think you need to survive should the situation warrant, if it becomes necessary. And that means whatever you carry. So just keep these things in mind. You've been on before. Okay, cool. Welcome. Uh, Harley, good to see you. Okay, everyone, I have to run. God bless. God bless you, sir. Have a good one. A good idea if anyone has a spotting scope to watch the rooftops. That's a good idea. That's something that's already in the plans. The the overhead is being considered in our staging area because we want to have overhead cover as well as 3 points of exit. So all of that's being done. We've got on the ground intel going on as we speak, and they're in communication with me. So um, 10,000 to 2 million will be there. Yeah, I heard 10,000 to a million. So I mean, the numbers are all over the place. I think that a lot of people that are going are being awfully quiet about it, which is just fine. But I get the feeling that this could be one of the biggest events that this country has ever seen. And I hope it is. I hope that we can show a massive amount of patriots that would stand up for this Constitution, because the reality is only 3% of the population fought in the original Revolutionary War. And if we have another revolution, then it, it could still be that same 3%. So 3% of 340 million is a very significant amount of people, but still, it's a pretty massive population to only have that small amount. Have you considered legal support for the future to protect those who are participating? Absolutely. That is being handled by one of our group members. Um, we do have some support. We have lawyers that are going to work um, pro bono to protect us. So Yes, that's being considered. The other thing is, um, we are better prepared than this time. Yeah, we are absolutely. Um, one last thing: if you have not, if you are a person that carries a gun or you plan on carrying a gun, you need to be looking into Law Shield. Um, they don't support my channel. I don't do that promo stuff where if they wanted to, it'd be great. But Law Shield, you need to look them up. You need to give them a call. It's something like $22 a month for my wife and I to have it. And that is an organization that gives you legal representation should you ever end up in a situation where you have to use your weapon. God forbid, it would suck. Taking somebody's life is not a friendly thing. But if you do not have Law Shield, I would recommend that you get it. It's $22 a month. So it's worth getting what you need so that you can have protection. As long as you don't do anything illegally, as long as you're civilized, as long as you only act in defense, then you have nothing to worry about. If you do something stupid, you know, we're going to have a lot of cameras, a lot of cameras. We will catch it on camera. So don't do anything stupid. Be civilized, be level-headed, and let's do this thing as respectfully as possible. If the left engages, defend yourself. If they don't, do not start this thing. They want to pop it off and they want to blame it on the conservatives, the Republicans, the constitutionalists. That's their goal. So don't play into their hand. One last thing, if you have medical conditions that doctors need to be aware of, write them on a paper and keep them on your personal person wallet, right front pocket, so medics can administer proper care. Thank you, Doc. That's a good idea. If you have reactions to medication, if you have specific medical conditions, if you have medication that you need, that right front pocket or in your wallet, you need to have those written down. Um, you on the header of that little note in your wallet or in your shirt pocket. Uh, Top line, doctor's information. That way, there's no question, and keep that on you. Uh, I've already mentioned wearing long sleeves, but I don't want this to escalate. They want it to, but we want it to be civilized. But I would recommend that you somewhere you on your body that you put your social security number, just in case something happens, so that there's no question of who you are and um, things can be handled accordingly. Um, Mr. F, great question. Who has the high ground control of the airspace? That is a good question. We can expect that there will be drones. We can't necessarily know who owns and operates them. You can look at Colorado as an example. Everybody says, I don't know whose they are. So they will have drones. That's why I'm saying if you got a big burly beard, if you got real distinct identification marks, one of those little um, jungle floppy hats, camouflage, something like that, that breaks up the the picture, the image, something that makes a change and makes it a little harder to identify from above. It would just be a good idea to have something like that. Um, wear your you know wear your hair differently, wear a hat that you've never been seen before, and just do whatever it takes to try to become as ghostly as possible and hide your identifying marks. But anyway, again, my PayPal is in the link below. My email address is in the link below. If you want to be a part of this in our group, I need you to get with me soon. And if you have a few dollars that you can help me to go towards this trip, since I've had to invest in a few things, I've kind of spent money I wasn't expecting to have to spend. But either way, I'm getting there. We're going to get it done. Uh, You'll wear your gym beard. That's a good idea. You ought to put some of that that what do they call that gel adhesive on your face though. That way you can get it nice and tight. And then you can look like a muppet. Do you have a list of recommendations for responses to specific actions by the police, militia, or UN troops? Um, if you are confronted by law enforcement, you need to cooperate, but you need to make sure that these people understand that what you're doing is absolutely constitutional. And if they if they try to arrest you, then do not talk. You need to be absolutely church mouse quiet. When they say anything you say can be used against you, they mean it. So if they say place your hands behind your back, you're under arrest for whatever. Your conversation needs to stop. Um, if you have uh, an attorney available, then you need to get on the phone with them. If they allow you to make that call, then you do that while you're there, or you have to wait till the police station, whichever. You'll get your call to your attorney. Um, as far as the UN goes, uh, the UN has no jurisdiction in our country whatsoever. They think they do because Obama signed a bill that gave them the assumption of permission. We, the people, have not authorized another foreign land to operate on our soil in any policing manner. You do not cooperate with the UN. If they become hostile, you defend, but do not comply, will not comply, are the things that you need to know when it comes to UN. They have zero jurisdiction or permission by we the people to operate in this country in any fashion whatsoever. Just remember these things. As far as the militia goes, the militia, they're going to stay in their groups as well because they know their members. And everybody that is a patriot, a constitutional supporter, a constitutional patriot, you are already a militia. You are the militia. So just because they have the title militia and they have an organized group, that's fine. But everybody who would stand up and defend the Constitution is a part of the militia. It is we the people are the militia that would protect our republic. All right. In other words, do not show up unless you have the funds to get out of the lockup. Well, again, I don't have the funds to get out of lockup, so it doesn't matter. I would just sit and wait until I go before the judge. And I'm I'm aware of my rights, and if they lock me up and they offer an unreasonable bond, which is unconstitutional, then I'll play their game, sit there as long as I have to until I get before the judge. I'll file my grievances and I'll file my lawsuit as soon as I get out, and so be it. I shall be done. The thing is, they're going to try all kinds of intimidation tactics to keep people at home because, good God, man, they don't want these people there. They want to show that they have the power, and we got to show that nope, you don't. We do. So don't be intimidated by arrest. Don't be intimidated by anything. If you're not prepared for 100% of the consequences, then make your decision that way. But don't go in there with fear. Don't let them direct you using fear. Do your thing. Really. Oh wow, I have really been on almost an hour. Good
No,
God.
you're at 43%, 43 people.
All right. I know that we've got Pete the Patriot coming on in 15 minutes or about 20 minutes. Um, Virginia is infamous with control. Yeah, they are, but they're also infamous with starting little things called revolutions and coordinating efforts to kick off civil wars. So um, things just are cyclical. They all start back where they started originally, and it's up to them. They have to make the choice how this thing is going to play out. But they're going to try to let everybody get there and then leave, and then they're just going to keep moving forward with their plans. So at some point, the uh, the Constitution has to come in. We, the people, have to come in and escort them out of the building and say, "You shall not be allowed to continue to serve." because that's in the Constitution. If they break their oath and they move against the Constitution, it says they shall not continue to be allowed to serve. Shall not continue to serve in an elected position. So shall doesn't mean should. It doesn't mean they have a choice. So when people decide to start using the Constitution the way it was written, then they'll be escorted out of the building. The building will be occupied, and new elections will take place, and people that care about our country will be elected, and there won't be any more voter fraud. So, VA state flag has a dead tyrant on it. Sic semper tyrannis. Yeah. All right. That's what I got. Anyway, if you guys have questions, email me. If you want to be a part of the group, email me soon, and we'll start getting you in the loop. But there will be restrictions on the loop as far as that goes. But then once we coordinate our meeting for the 19th, then that's when you'll get more information. Amen. Or arrest. He won't shut up. Florida Jim, how you doing? All right. So I'm getting off here. Like I said, if you can help out with my trip, please do. If you need to get a hold of me, email me. I'll get you my contact info, and I'll leave it at that. So until next time, I'll also help get the word out. If I've only got 1,500 people on my site, so it's up to you guys to spread this word, because I work in small groups apparently. Linda, hey there, thank you for coming. Appreciate you. All right. With that being said, y'all stay in the fight.